Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, I want to take time to thank the lovely group that creates Seananigans over at the Firearms Radio Network, Sean Heron, and the rest of the gang over there for giving us a place to call home, I guess. The best thing I can think of. So, also, I don't have it on the hat because it doesn't show up very well on the hat. But you have the month.
No one's taking my Lucky Charms.
Great. And as I said before,
I like it.
Now, if you were a Patch of the Month member already, and you haven't signed up, and you signed up previously, you also got this.
What is that?
That is a sketch of Ryan's original design as he laid out.
Nice.
So one of the things I was trying to do is run a new cat cable, and either I didn't get it wired up right or something, I don't know, but we're running Wi-Fi tonight because unfortunately the puppy decided he wanted to chew my other cable, and I think that's what was causing some of the popping. So we're going to find out. But yeah, so I didn't think about it until I was talking to Jake before the show, and that was kind of what popped up. So we'll find out. I don't know if I just put the dang ends on wrong or I've got it plugged in wrong, so I'll go flip it and try it again, maybe. Just not now. Go live. So, anyway, Rex, got a new name. Rex, do you have a blog now? And if so, we need the URL so we can share it with everybody and send everybody to flood your blog. So, we've got rep ihcs055.yes and Jerry DM, our first time joiners tonight. Welcome. And we've got FP and that bum from the West Coast, Matt, and Rex. And I'm sure there's many other characters going to be joining. So I want to say hi to everybody joining us live. And you too should join us live.
Is that damn fool from Minnesota on there?
Not yet. So he might be recovering from last week. You know, we did kind of burn him pretty good. So you never know.
He's been frying my cookies for a while.
He still is.
Yeah, you guys saw what he posted in the admin group for the reloading room.
Oh, boy.
I have to turn in my man card.
That's the last time you were shooting. Yeah, see?
Well, I spent some money yesterday. Never mind. You asked. I spent some money yesterday buying the stuff half the stuff that I need to make up a nice set of shelves so I could start unburying my reloading equipment.
Aha.
That's what I did. That's what I did this week.
So when you tell me you're building shelves, I hear I'm decorating, which doesn't really strike me as manly, Jim. Like, go shoot your gun. Go outside and shoot your gun, dude. Come on.
Yeah. I'm allowed to. In this state, interestingly enough, you are allowed to, as long as you're on your own property, you are allowed to discharge a firearm. You are only responsible for the damage the bullet does.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I can go take an empty magazine straight into the ground and nobody's going to say a word legally.
Go shoot an earthworm.
Yeah, there you go. Have the cops write me up for that. But that's what I did in Guns and Reloading. Oh, of course, there's this podcast, too. How about you, Jason? What'd you do this last week? Anything?
I took my youngest and his girlfriend out shooting. They haven't been shooting with me in quite some time.
I heard
And
you. That's right. You lost a rifle to her, didn't you?
kinda, yeah. So I had 70 rounds of store-bought ammo for it. And I do believe she shot 70 rounds. I never got to shoot the gun.
And you know what? You know you damn good and well loved it.
I did. She was loving it. She had some good groups going. Um, and yeah, now Jacob believes he's going to have to invest in an RPR pretty quick for her. So, uh,
That's getting serious.
yep, yep. They've
And what else? What else,
they've
if
been
anything?
dating for a year, so 1 year must be a Ruger RPR or something.
Mm.
Um, I got my dies in, my Redding dies for my 6.5. I ordered the competition die set with the bushing die in it. And so I've got my bushing ordered, haven't got it yet. Tonight I got my RCBS reamer pilot for um, the neck turning trimmer. Because this week I took my what the heck were those Hornady bulk ammo, the cheapo stuff, and measured neck wall thickness and all that, and figured out what I needed. So now I'm set up to do that. As soon as I get my bushing in, I'll be good to go. Talked to Mr. Terry Dillashaw. He was headed up to Reno for work and asked me if I needed anything from Shields. So I decided on what I'm going to load for my 6.5. I'm going to go with Sierra Match Kings 142 grain, and I'm going to load RL26. And I asked him for a pound just to try it out. They didn't have any. He said they got 8-pounders, so he brought me over an 8-pounder this weekend. So
Whoops.
I hope I like it.
Yeah, because you darn well own it.
Yep, I do.
Now you talking about all the little things. You reminded me of my stuff. I'll go on. I'll come back after you're done.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. Just getting little odds and ends ready to go for this 6.5.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I got my copy of the Dillon Blue Press today, and of course yesterday I got my patch of the month that Mike has already shown us on the air. I got those. Kind of tickled by that little leprechaun.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get yours yet?
I did. I got mine yesterday or the day before.
Okay, over to you, Mike, if you're ready.
All right. Excuse me. And there I cleared my throat in the mic. Dang it. So I got a new toy. And I want to show it off a little bit. Just a moment. It was one of those that it was kind of a price I really couldn't pass up. So
Mike's got an endoscope.
yep.
Mike, yeah, put it right down through those threads. You can actually look at the wall of the threads.
Want to see something disgusting, folks? Look down there.
What is that?
That's his toilet.
primary eject for my Lee.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was on Woot, WOOT.com, and it was all of and
Ooh.
amazingly good quality.
What is that? About 10 magnification?
I'm not sure.
That's at least 8. Because I'm looking at those fired primers. I know how big they are.
So here's a 308 case. Oh, looky there.
Look at that right down in there. Now, look, let's take it on down, Michael, just a little closer. Oh. Now, I don't see an incipient head separation coming yet.
Nope. But that's exactly one of the things I was thinking of this.
Mike, what's the diameter on that head of the endoscope?
It will not fit in a 223.
I'll bet it's 1/4 inch.
Where is it? Now, they do make them that are small enough to fit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's quit bouncing everybody around. So they do make them small enough to fit down the barrel of a 223 Remington. So, but this is about 225. So it's just a smidge. There's a lip on the end of it, and it's just a smidge too big. I don't know if it'll fit in fired 223 brass or not.
If it's 225, it might.
Just barely.
Mike, does that have the little mirror that you can attach to the end of it and look at your rifling and whatnot?
No, it doesn't. So yeah, it just barely fits inside a 223 case.
Mike, do I see incipient head separation in that particular case? No, I see a reflection from the endoscope.
That might be.
I don't think there's a head separation in there because the ring I saw moved.
And then here's the brass itself. Oops. So I would say probably not. Because I don't. It could be starting. But no. Yeah, that's a reflection.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's moving.
So as you look down here, gang, you see that kind of mess around the primer pocket or around the flash hole.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this tool's for. So
that burr is caused by the way they manufacture the brass, guys. What they don't drill the holes like Peterson Brass does. They punch them, and that leaves a nasty sharp burr up inside the chamber end of the cartridge case. And that's what Mike was talking about. Flash hole and I were talking about the flash hole deburring tool.
So Jim FP says get a sand pit. John Atkinson's now joined us. And Nick Schipper's now joined us. And I see. He changed his handle. So yes, Nick, I agree. So Johnny Mac says he's gonna puke. Oh, here, let me turn that back on and I'll jiggle it around some more. So But that is something you can mount in a vise or something like that and then bring the brass up to it. I was just kind of showing it as is. And as Jim can attest, I'm pretty bouncy sometimes when we're looking at cameras. So, but wanted to show you that because that's a nice new toy. And like it was $13. This one comes with the USB connector to hook into my computer. And also, you can actually hook it up to any Android phone that still has the micro USB connector. The newer style, like the Samsung Galaxy S8s, the newer LGs have the USB-C connector, so it won't work. But you should be able to get an adapter to work. So, but yeah, I mean, you can look down at your brass. If you've got questions, that's a great way to inspect it. You can inspect your dies on the inside of your dies. So, yeah, all sorts of fun stuff to do with that. So that's my new toy. So we're talking about brass, gang. Why is brass so important?
It's almost as valuable as gold.
Okay, why? I got a bag.
How about our listeners on YouTube? Ask them.
So, well, if we're gonna ask them, then we got to kill some time while they're answering because it takes about 10 to 15 seconds. But I got brass laying all over the place. I got brass here, I got brass there, I got brass everywhere. Right here, I've got this piece of brass. So, yeah.
Looks like it's a fired piece of brass.
Yes, it is.
Do you have too much brass, Mike?
There is no such thing.
Okay.
There's no such thing as too much ammo. There's no such thing as too much brass. There's no such thing as too much powder, too many primers, too many bullets, and definitely, for God's sakes, man, there's no such thing as too many firearms.
There is such a thing as not enough money.
Oh, boy.
That sounds like a personal problem
to me. Oh, listen to you.
Oh, I forgot one other thing that I did this week. I bought a gun.
Oh, you did? What'd you buy?
I bought a Marlin 55, which is a bolt-action 12-gauge. I was stopping off at Cabela's to see when the heck, if they had any idea when I was going to see my new toy, which is my 6.5 Creedmoor that's on back order. And in the meantime, while I was waiting for the gun counter guys to get done, I was just wandering through the used rack, and my dad's had a Model 55, the slug gun, which is basically a shortened barrel. It's a 22-inch, I think, barrel on it. He's had one of those for as long as I can remember, and I've always wanted one. And I came across this one. It was a heck of a price, $150. Wood was spotless. Bluing was spotless on the barrel and the receiver. The side of the bolt was a little marred up, but bolt functions fine. I can hear the firing pin. The bolt face looks fine. So yeah, that went home with me, and it's got 3 tubes. So that's an amazing thing. It's a 28-inch barrel, and it's got 3 different choke tubes.
Nice. Did you take it home with you, or did it have to go into jail?
No, we don't have jail in Wisconsin. It went home with me.
You bastards. I hate you.
Jail for handguns anymore either.
Gosh. I want to live in a real state.
Someday.
Well, you know, the thing is, the Californians they're a special breed of people. And you ought to know that. You're one of them. You won't even leave.
He has extenuating circumstances why he won't leave, to be fair.
I know what they are.
It's not fully his choice.
I know that too.
In all fairness to Jason.
Thank you for being fair.
No, wait a minute. No. We don't have to be fair to Jason.
Oh, yes, we do.
He pulled a dirty trick on me that was not fair.
Oh, by the way, everyone, it's Jim's birthday. Wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Jim.
You're a lying sack of snot.
Happy birthday to you. Oh.
I open my mouth and
Yes, you did.
Jason just shoves his foot right down through it.
Someday you'll learn. Maybe. Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
Probably not. But anyway.
So I've got all sorts of crap around here for dealing with brass. But so Johnny Mac says feels the chamber.
Yep.
Robert Fair says metallurgy of brass, strong yet flexible. Yes, it is. John, you nailed it. You nailed it right there. If you want to know what John Atkinson said, you need to start tuning into the live broadcast to find out.
You got me, John.
And FP says brass life matters. Haha. So, and Nick says for his 458 SOCOM, all he uses is Starline. Might be that it's the only thing I've gotten also. Yeah, 458 SOCOM's kind of a, to my knowledge, there's only a couple of companies brass for it. Hey, Johnny Mac says happy birthday, Jim. Hi, Alan. Hey, Alan, we're wishing Jim a happy birthday here too.
Wow, Alan joined us.
Right?
Alan who?
That guy that hangs out in the TRR, T2AO. Everyone's.
Oh, Alan Classic.
Uh-huh.
Hey, how's it going, driver?
So.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking.
Hey, Jason, who sings that song?
Not me.
Exactly. It's Jerry.
Good.
Sorry.
This is not a singing podcast.
But he's a truck driver. I thought I'd sing him a truck driving song. Sorry, Alan. I tried to be nice to you, but they won't let me.
Mike, the answer is Jerry Reed.
Yes, it is. Also known as the beverage of choice tonight, Line and Kugels, Summer Shandy, because I want Summer to hurry up and get here. All right. So I've got all this stuff laying around for taking care of brass. I've got, well, let's see here. Move the camera. Earthquake! Oh, wait a minute. I'm not in California.
You might have gone off the air, Mike.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right. Now you can't give me help for clearing my throat. Anyway.
Hey, Mike. Edit that out, baby.
Anyway, Jason, all right, let's try to carry the show. We'll see if Mike comes back or not.
Yep.
Anyway, why is brass so important, bud?
Well, it contains an explosion.
Yes, sir. It does seal the chamber, but when it does that, I would think a proper term would be it contains a sudden release of high pressure gas.
Well, yeah, if you want to be PC, okay, go ahead.
Not PC. Technically correct.
Okay.
You know how politically correct I am.
Yeah, not very.
Politically incorrect. That's me. Uh-oh. That ain't good.
Yeah, we flat out lost him.
Yep. Anyway, so there's no recording going on. Guys, we're sorry about this, but Mike has running into technical issues. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say we're still live, and he'll pull the recording off of YouTube. So we can keep going, I guess, until he joins us.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. He can actually pull the video off YouTube.
Yeah.
Anyway, so brass is important. Why? Contains the gas released. It contains the primer. It contains the bullet, the projectile, the 4 components. The brass itself is considered a component, but it holds everything together. Right?
Yep. Matt says it contains all of the components needed to fire a gun. So apparently it has a trigger and a firing pin. I'm not sure Matt understands how guns work now that I think about that. Sorry, Matt. I love picking on you, brother.
Who is this Matt anyway?
Matthew DeVilbus. He's a friend of mine, lives nearby.
I see. Welcome, Matt, to our world, to my world. Jason and I slam the hell out of each other every chance we get.
And he just gave me a shut up, Jason. So,
hey, doing all right.
You must be kindred spirits.
It's funny, Jason. I think you and I originated the original. Shut up, Jason. Welcome back, Mike. It was a rough ride.
I'm sure.
Yeah, there's nothing you need to edit out for the podcast, so you can just skip over that part.
We're both lying.
Nothing that needs to be edited out. Nothing at all.
Anyway, no. What we were doing, we were carrying the show along, basically talking about what brass does, why it's important.
Awesome. Because all of a sudden my ISP just crashed. So I have no idea what the heck happened. Strange.
Well, you came back, so.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the chat back up, though.
Well, according to what I've seen, Jason says that we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah. It should have stayed live because of you guys.
Right. Apparently it did.
So, all right. Benjamin Kessler's now joined us. Derek's here. The gang's all here. Control explosion. Nice. All right. So, Jim and Jason were talking about, brass. Couple of the things. This is a piece for dealing with brass. This is a piece for dealing with brass. These are for dealing with brass. Yes, brass must be pretty important if we got all this crap to deal with brass, right?
Yep.
Well, like Jason and I were saying, it contains the three other components of of modern day cartridges. It contains the powder, the primer, and the bullet. It all in one self-contained unit. The powder, the propellant, it contains its own oxidizer. No need for oxygen. The cartridges can be fired in a vacuum.
Bet you most people didn't know that.
And most people don't care.
You never know. Could be handy information to have it. Definitely could be handy information to have at some point in time.
So if you're ever recruited as a door gunner on the space shuttle, that would be good to know.
It'd be awesome. Hey,
Jason,
look.
you're a bum.
Bullets and brass, primers and powder. Also known as a cartridge.
More correctly known as a cartridge.
Yes. That's for dealing with brass. This is for dealing with brass.
Yeah, a lot of our tools are geared specifically for brass. Mike's got a set of calipers there, I think.
Yep,
and that's for used for measuring brass and bullets.
Yep. I got more stuff over here too. Not those. Those go in brass. So.
There's a brass polishing machine.
Yep. This made for dealing with brass. But so is this.
Yep.
Hey, how can you have a couple different things?
If you look right there at the bottom of Mike's screen, the green thing, the green triangle sticking up, that deals with brass and bullets, but sometimes mostly empty brass and loaded cartridges. Yeah, case holding box.
Yep. So this is an ultrasonic cleaner. So it uses water. And in this case, uses water. And in this case, I used water. I used Lemmy Shine and Dawn dish soap. And that lovely coloring in there is what happens when you forget a couple pieces of brass in it.
Those are scrap brass.
Yeah. So I forgot to grab a piece of paper. Whoops. That'll work.
Oh my God.
It's fine, Mike. I'd shoot it.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't go off.
Yeah, those are all loadable, right?
My God, I've never seen brass so corroded.
Wow. That Lemmy Shine eats up that metal if you leave it too long.
You mean the Lemmy Shine mixture?
Yeah. Yeah. The citric acid. I used it to clean some pennies for my wife one time.
Mm-hmm.
Left them in overnight. It ate up the pennies. They were holy Swiss cheese.
Well, the pennies can also contain zinc. So
Yeah,
it must have affected the zinc too.
Contain steel too, so I wasn't sure what chemical or what compound exactly it affected.
Look at that, Mike. Are those? Can you collapse those with your fingers?
Probably.
Don't hurt yourself. Seriously.
No, this one's still solid enough. I'm pretty sure the rest of these would.
Okay, well, don't cut yourself with them.
Nope. So that's what happened. That's in the Lemmy Shine mixture. So. Lemmy Shine citric acid, and then you've got the vinegar, which is also an acid. So yeah, it causes lots of problems. So.
Are you saying acid is a bad thing?
If used improperly, it can be.
Okay.
And he wasn't talking about Timothy Leary's specialty, Jason.
No idea who that is, Jim. I'm too young.
You lie.
My good story. So, and this one, for anyone who's not familiar, is walnut and corncob media. Put the camera back up where it was. So this one you're going to use walnut or corncob. I actually have a mix of both, and then I have some new finish. This one's a Hornaday. It's got a CR sticker on it, so. But yeah, that's more stuff for dealing with brass. You know. But what's this for? What's this do? And why do we need it?
It drops its pilots.
What are pilots?
Those are the guys that fly planes and steer ships in and out of harbors.
And we love planes and ships. I don't think he finds us funny. I think we're hilarious.
Me and you, Jason. Me and you, buddy, forever. Always on be the bane of the podcast.
Hey, Mark Kodra joined us too. So,
who?
Mark Kodra. So, he says he uses regular citric acid because he keeps it there for the hogs. And Mark's answer to this is it's a slow way to trim brass. Yes, because I don't have the cool little power tool there. Jason actually has an even faster way to trim brass, but I don't have Jason money, so because I still have kids at home.
Yeah, I don't have Jason money either, but every once in a while I got to spend it.
So what I'm doing?
We all had Jim's money, or we don't have to work for a living, but we do. Yeah.
So what I've got here is I've got a loading block. This lovely thing right here is a loading block.
That's a tool for dealing with brass.
Yes, it is. And so this is handy when you're not using one of these.
Yay, 550.
This is a Dillon 550.
Actually, 450 converted up to 550, right?
Correct. So with that, I can do everything for making the cartridge all in that same unit. So I don't need a loading block. Now, what's this for? What am I going to use this for?
Does that say Imperial sizing wax?
Yeah, if I could ever get the camera to focus.
That's for chapped lips, Mike.
Oh, all right.
I think he pointed a finger at you, Jason.
No, I was holding the lid with my lips. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome.
And what's this stuff?
One shot. I've heard that stuff's garbage. I listen on the internet. It's garbage. Okay, I'm being sarcastic.
A lot of folks swear by it.
Yep.
See that word right there?
Directions.
Directions.
No way, dude. Come on.
If people don't read from here all the way down to here on this can and then follow that word, that's why they think it's junk.
I've never tried it, but I do understand the internet mentality, and I think you got to pay a little more attention to what you're doing. I bet it's a fine product.
So when you're using it, what you do is you hold your can at about a 45-degree angle, and you walk it back and forth like this, and then you go like that, and you turn it again, and one more time for the kids in the back.
Dude, you do it like 4 times.
And then you let it dry. So, because if you take a one of those cases before it's dry and shove it up in there, where am I shoving it? By the way,
that you don't
Oblivion.
Have yes, into my die. Not up yet. If you do that,
you're shoving it into the scrap brass bucket.
So, now the nice thing about the Imperial sizing wax, that you can just rub on. Now, so here's a question for everybody. How far down do you go? I mean, do you just get the neck, which is this part right here? You get the shoulder, which is that part right there. Or do you get the body too? What do you get? You come all the way down and get the head? What do you think?
You could lubricate the primer pocket if you want to.
Why?
Well, just because you can.
Oh, okay. So I go to put this in my press, but it doesn't stay. Why is that?
You don't have a
show holder thingy?
Thank you. That's
Correct.
a big word, show holder.
Actually, it's 2 words, I thought.
In my world, it's one big word.
I'm right.
Oh. Let's see, it has 11 letters. Jason, can you spell shell holder?
Yes, I can, Jim. I'll do it in sign language for you.
In other words, you can't?
Number 1.
Number 11.
Oh, God. You know, if we weren't such good friends, this show would be would be in the toilet. Oh, wait a minute. That's where a lot of folks accuse us of getting it from.
Yep.
So, these shelter holders kits. Why Lee though?
I can't read it. It's upside down. It's upside down. Oh, thank you.
You sure? I don't know. I can't tell. Are you sure?
Oh, there go the ratings again.
How about there?
That's
right.
better.
So, and each one of these is made for a specific piece of brass.
We have a photo, Bennett, on my screen.
Ooh, there's no porn on there. Easy.
Here.
Can see.
Yeah, they can. It's live, too. Anyway, all right. Get out of here, sweetie. Honey. She's being bad. She's doing bad things.
So here is the instructions on which shell holder to use for which piece of brass. So I am looking for 308 Winchester, so I'm going to follow my list down. And I keep following, and I keep following, and I keep following. And it is in number 2. Now, all of these have a number etched into them.
Stamped.
Sorry, in this case, you're right, it's stamped. So as you can see, it says 2. For a brief second, you can see it. There we go. Okay.
There it is.
So how this goes is you raise your ram. So I suppose we should probably explain a press first, should we, Jim? The parts of the press?
Is that a brass manipulation thingy?
Yeah. The cartridge reproduction device.
There you go.
Oh my.
Cartridge remanufacturing, correct?
Well, could be remanufacturing or reproducing. Either way.
All right.
Or
go ahead, Mike.
Okay.
I'll quit busting your chops.
So, as we saw earlier with the camera, we went down through here. Right here, Jim. Right here. And this where the dies go.
That's not where you put down through that die hole, that die port. You put something else down through that hole.
I put a finger down the hole. See? Finger, Jim. That finger.
We're going to get an E for explicit rating if you don't quit.
So, this down here is called the ram. Why? Because it rams things.
Oh, God. You talk about timing.
And then, this is a shell holder, but it's not the right shell holder. As you can see, not only does it have a different number, but it's slightly different in design. So, and you can see that even with it being out of focus. Definitely different width. So, FP, thanks for stopping by, and see you later. Mark K says that he likes to keep a shell holder with each set of dies he has, making it easier for me to not lose them. Yeah, that's kind of one of the nice things about Lee is Lee dies, they usually give you the shell holder with. But yeah, I don't know. It all depends. So I just kind of keep the Lee ones all together because I usually keep them in a tote. I just forgot to pull them out earlier. So, because I forgot the last time I was loading something was 257 Weatherby and not 308. So, there's quite a bit of size difference in diameter on those two.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, with the ram slightly raised, I slide the shell holder back in. Now, I can move this up and down, and the brass stays where it's supposed to go. Hey, you hear that squeaking? You know what that means?
It's disuse.
It's doity and disused. So, I take a little bit of oil. And I put oil on the ram. Because Lee doesn't have grease zerks. So, and if you put oil on it, it's still squeaky, then it probably needs to be cleaned. And this one's got a few thousand rounds on it. So, yeah, it needs to be cleaned. But the nice thing is I can put a little oil on it and it'll quiet up a bit. So, sometimes you can take them apart to clean them. Sometimes you don't really have to. Use brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, a couple of, spray on contact cleaners are kind of easy ones to use. So now what I want to do. So here's a question. Do we use this fancy little tool here to trim the length of the brass before we size it?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Of course.
Why is that?
Before we size it? No, hell no.
All right.
Sorry, my mistake. Why? The reason why we don't is because ordinary resizing of brass causes the case, neck, and shoulder to stretch a bit, which means what I'm trying to say is you can go ahead and trim it now when it's once fired, but if you do, when you resize it, you'll probably wind up finding your brass is out of spec.
Yep. This little thing here is the decapping pin with the expander ball. And the expander ball is what goes in the center of the brass.
Mike, show me the upper shoulder of that expander ball. Notice, guys, how abrupt the angle is not. It's almost square. It's rounded off to a certain extent. Yes, it is. I wish they'd put a different taper on that.
Oh, it's a Hornady, so Hornadys use a little different. So I'm gonna.
The idea is it's pointed so to help things center up.
Right.
In the cartridge casing itself, but boy, it's that. I don't know. I just wish they could do something about the other end.
Yeah.
They offer Redding offers a carbide button.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I have one in my. I have a carbide button in my 308 and my 223 expander or resizing dies. They are available from Lyman. 4 Lyman dies.
Good.
Let's see if I can get to what I want to grab.
Do you notice a difference with the carbide compared to the steel, Jim?
Yes. Its carbide is much harder, which means it's much slicker, smoother.
Right.
And I still get the scritching sound, but the steel eventually wears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I promise to quit busting Mike's chops.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to see. This one's an actual Redding die, and it does look a little different, but you can't really see the part you need to. So I don't have a wrench handy, but so each of the companies.
Mike, I noticed one thing about your Redding resizing die, and that is you have your expander ball and spindle sticking out of the cartridge or out of the die body itself. That's a little bit too deep, isn't it? Isn't it going to bend your
that
spindle?
One's not. That is 6.5 by 284 Winchester, and that one's actually not set up to do anything. It's in the same shape it was that I bought it.
Okay.
So
I'll just be warned, okay?
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely be making an adjustment when I get to that point. Oh, where the heck did the thing go? Interesting. There it is. So what Jim's talking about is you can change the depth on how this sits in the die by how deep or how narrow you screw it in. Or I should say how deep or shallow. So as you can see right now, that doesn't stick out at all. So the problem with that is it's not gonna be very productive.
Yeah, it won't push the primers out, guys.
Nope.
That's what that little tiny pin is for.
So what the Hornady setup is, and this comes off, just so everybody knows. If you pop your pin or you have any problems, you bend your pin, whatever, the expander ball comes off so you can put a new pin in. And the way that Hornady adjusts is this rod just threads through, and then this is set up in like a collet style. So as you tighten it up, it squeezes it and holds it. So as I put it back in, I can screw it back down and see if I made any progress, which I did. No. Now you don't actually have to take it all the way out to do this. And sometimes you'll get them set up from the factory where they're good to go. Sometimes they aren't. Always check it.
That's just about perfect what Mike's got right there. Now he's starting to bring out the nose of the expander ball, yep, which is a little bit too far.
Yep, because I had it what I thought, but then I realized I hadn't tightened it down, so then I had to adjust it again. So then I'm going to turn it back a little bit, check it again. And you want about that much sticking out because you want to make sure you drive all the way through that brass.
What is that distance for our podcast listeners?
I don't know what the official distance is. I use the swag method.
It's about 3/16 of an inch. Actually, you want to hit the pin of the decapping spindle, the decapping pin, you want it to stick down through the cartridge case and into the shell holder.
Yep.
So I protrude into the shell holder. Mike, take that shell holder out of your press for a second, please.
Sure.
Well, take the casing out of the cartridge, or out of the shell holder, rather.
I'll see, now you're being just detail oriented.
Yeah, what I want you to do is get the shell holder. Now, take the shell holder, put it against the die in front of the camera. Guys, what I'm talking about, make sure we can see the slot for the cut for the shells, Mike.
Yeah, let's see if we can set it on here.
If you can get it to focus.
Yep.
Now you see, if you look in there, you can see that the capping pin is actually sticking down through and into the shell holder. Now, obviously, we can't measure that from the where we are right now, but there is ways to measure it, and it should stick down in through there about 1/16 of an inch to be absolutely certain that the capping pin is pushing the primer out completely.
So what happens is you're going to actually push this die down over the brass.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to sit probably about like that.
Yeah, thereabouts.
So
maybe a little bit more, but anyway, the idea is, you
like
see, that's what we're trying to show you, where the decapping pin sticks through and below the head of the case. That's better, Mike. Thank you. Pull it up a little bit higher, Mike. No, I'm at the case itself. There you go.
Too high. So
right.
show you what that looks like on the press. And we'll show you how to get to that on the press. So you're going to screw your die down to what you think is right. And then you want it to just start protruding through the bottom here like that. Because what you're going to do is you're going to run the ram all the way up till it's full. And then in the lock ring.
Actually, folks, Mike got lucky and got it adjusted right pretty close to right the first time.
Yep, and you want it literally touching. Now, there's some people that say, once you get it, take your ram, put it down, and then turn it a full turn. I usually go to about a quarter turn. I don't know about you guys.
About a quarter to an eighth of a turn.
And then what you want to do is you put your brass back in, run it up through the die.
Did you forget to lubricate that case?
Nope. I don't think there's enough on it. And I did not get the neck, inside the neck. So that's the problem with that.
Yeah, because I saw that press start to bend forward. It's like, man, you're putting a lot of pressure on it. There's something wrong.
Yep. Now, see, that went a lot better.
Yep.
Because it was lubed a little better. Now, that is where the problem comes in, because with the Imperial sizing die wax, I can't get the inside of the case, so it causes problems.
Okay, now, well, RCBS makes a tool for that, Mike. It's a case neck brush.
Yep.
And ordinarily you put a little bit of lubricant. You can put sizing wax or regular case lube on the case neck brush.
Now, what I wanted to show everybody is I just finger tightened all this. You see the decapping pin anymore?
Yes, I see it.
Is it still sticking out as far as it was?
Barely.
Not even. Barely. So what happened is I finger tightened everything. Does finger tightening work when you're putting dies in, gentlemen?
No, it does not.
Not. Because this whole entire system that Hornady designed is designed to cause this pin to pop out under extreme pressure and not destroy the whole die. Most of your manufacturers put some sort of system in place. Lee's got something like that also. But what happened is, if you heard that interesting noise as I was raising the ram up the second time, what that was is it was this rod pushing up because it wasn't locked in. So by not tightening the die down properly and by not tightening this down properly, I just wasted a bunch of time.
I don't necessarily agree, Mike. Sometimes you learn more by seeing mistakes than you do by seeing it done the proper way.
Correct. But what I'm saying, as far as production of ammunition, I wasted time.
Oh, of course.
I did not, because I did that specifically and purposefully, because my wrenches are about 3 feet that way. So all I got to do is walk over here and grab my wrenches out of the drawer and then walk back over here, and I have my wrenches to tighten this down properly. So what I want to do is I want to tighten the die against the jam nut, which is right here. And then once I get that set, then I can actually adjust this height, which right now is probably pretty good, but we're going to check it. So, and if you're not sure, you can shine a little flashlight. And what we're actually going to do, now that I've got it in here, is we're going to play with the little toy and show you what that looks like. So.
Excellent. Excellent. I see. Yes, perfect. Look at that massive column in the center of that. That's Mike's decapping pin. It's sticking down through. We're seeing a reverse image. It's upside down, but the pin is sticking down through the shell holder, as I said it should. You guys should know, you reloaders out there should know what you're looking at. The taper and stuff and the cut, yeah, it's interesting to reverse the image, but that massive call, here we go. There you go. Perfect, Mike.
So And that's what it
There
looks
he
like
is. Yep.
pointing down.
Nice. Nice. I've never seen such close-up work like that.
Well, that's one of the reasons I got this toy. That and to do all sorts of other fun stuff with it. But I've been looking at this camera for a while, honestly, guys, because I wanted one. I wanted one that I could actually have the USB connection to hook it into the computer for exactly stuff like this. So yeah, and Alan says, so the guys in the group chat are talking about what's going on, and so Alan said also when you're oiling the press is get the linkage too. So that's on the side here. That's all that's there. There's pinch points there and connecting points. You want to lube that. Also, any of the metal to metal contact surfaces, honestly. So the other thing is so John said one thing: when you're buying range brass, inspect it because it can be worn out brass, not just once fired. If it's sold as is, especially. And then Robert wanted to know about when I was talking about the necks. Or no, they were talking about different things. So, but also when we were talking about the necks, Mark Kodra says you can use a Q-tip. And then Alan said, Robert, lube the inside of the neck so the expander doesn't stretch out the neck as it's drawn back out. And then Alan said, that's why I was spraying the one shot at a 45-degree angle to get some inside the neck. Exactly. So, and I think that Robert might have been asking about the inside of the dies. You don't want to, in my personal opinion, and I may be wrong, but I'm going to throw this out here. In my personal opinion, you don't want to lube the dies themselves. You want to try and keep the dies clean and lube the brass, because otherwise you get an excess of lube, especially if you're lubing the die and the brass. And then what you're going to get is you're going to get lube bulges. And that's where actually it crushes in the shoulder or the neck or part of the body because there's too much lube and it doesn't have anywhere to go. So you can have too much lube. So that is, in my opinion, anyway. Jim, Jason, am I wrong?
They're commonly called lube dents.
Yeah.
It's a hydraulic dent.
Yep. Because you can't compress the grease. It's a semi-liquid. You can't compress it. Once you get it trapped, something's got to give. And it'll give the brass will give before the grease does.
So my Hornady one shot that I used earlier, it dries. You can feel the lubricant on there. But like I said, the important thing is it's in the neck.
Look how easy that came apart.
Did you see the primer pop out through the primer ejection hole down to the cool
Absolutely.
thing? Sometimes it doesn't work, but normally it does. Now there is where you really notice the difference.
That came out smooth.
And it also went in quite easy. I was watching for the press to stress over. It didn't stress.
Yeah. The one thing I don't like about the Lee bench plate is it is not necessarily the strongest mount in the world, but it does well. Also, it depends on what you've got it mounted onto. Now, my bench isn't exactly perfect either, so the bench flexes a little bit. But Robert wants to know about neck sizing. Decapping is the art of popping out the primers. So,
well, the only problem with answering his request about neck sizing is that right now we're trying to reset, and neck sizing is an advanced technique.
Yep.
I don't mind answering the guy's question, but we just kind of want to keep that in mind that that's our focus of the show tonight.
So we are going to go through. We are going to go through neck sizing at some point in time. I've got to get dies for it yet. So, yeah, Nick, I'd agree. Inline fabrication mounts all the way. That's on the wish list for the future. So, They do really make a lot better. But seeing as how I was on a budget at the time, I went with Lee. So now the Lee stand that's behind me, that's the little 3-legged stand over there with all the rest of the crap on it, including a shotgun press and then the Lee Loadmaster and a bunch of other crap. That thing's actually pretty solid. So I will recommend that, especially if you need a portable press. So Robert Fair wants to know, do you use a dye prep and storage spray? No, I don't. Never have. I don't have. I guess I don't really have a reason to. These right here, these are my oldest dyes. These are about 12 years old. So, and these are Lee.
Just out of curiosity, what caliber are those dyes?
308.
Oh, you must have more than one set of 308 dyes.
Yes, I do. These are the ones I use the most. But I wanted to, these are all set up, so I wanted to use the Hornady ones when we do this. So these is the bullet seating dye.
That's the expander button, or expander plunger. Or, I'm sorry, that's the bullet seating plunger.
Yep. As you can see,
that's a can of Imperial sizing wax.
Yep. But as you can see, looking at the dye,
resizing dye. I see daylight down through there, do I? Jason, you see daylight down in there?
Oh, yeah. I see the light.
Or is it a reflection?
I think it's a reflection.
Could be a reflection.
Yeah, looking at
because I was like thinking about it. How could the light be coming out of that? Because that's threaded up in there.
Yep. So let's see if
Interesting.
Oh, so that's tightened down, so I can't pop that out. But as you can see, I don't have rusting. And these have been in the same spot for how long? Now this one you can probably see a little better in. But yeah, I don't have a problem with dyes rusting. No.
Don't you live in a humid world, Mike?
I live in Wisconsin. It's kind of humid. But you can see the shell holder that it comes with, and it also comes with a powder dipper. It comes with loading instruction or load data and instructions, all in this cool little case. So when you're starting out, these are a pretty good handy thing to have. And they're cost effective.
That looked like a lean neck sizer die.
That's what I thought too. So I saw the four-way crimp in there thing.
Yeah.
Four-way call it too.
Yeah, it's got two different dies. It's got a full length and then a neck sizer. So. And then up on the shelf, I have the actual factory crimp die. So, but like here's the instructions and stuff that it all comes with. So it gives you instructions on how to set up the dies. It comes with load data. And it also comes with cartridge information, which is important when you're looking at sizing. So it gives you the maximum trim length. It gives you the maximum overall length. Tells you what primers to use, what bullet diameter. So it's kind of a handy little thing. But so now,
you know, it seems as though the most operations are done to the brass cartridges.
Yes.
It's a fact, because we don't do anything except seat the bullet. We don't do anything except measure the powder and charge a case. Mm-hmm. We only thing we do with the primer is to seat it and decap it, and of course fire it.
Yep.
But with brass, you trim it, chamfer it, deburr the flash hole. You could do deburr both sides of the flash hole. Some people disagree. And Jeremy talks about squaring primer pockets, which is actually truing up the base of the primer pocket side of the cartridge itself. Truing it up, I mean squaring it to the axis of the case.
So as we were saying, with resizing before you trim, and you may not need to trim, honestly. Especially if it's a once fired case, you may not need to trim. You actually may not need to trim for a couple. You should check it though. But to give you an idea, turn this back down now that we're done playing with the. So we've got these two here. This one's the resized. This one's once fired non-resized. This one is actually 13 thousandths shorter than this one. Now, the one thing I didn't do is I didn't measure the actual brass beforehand because each brass can be different length. But it kind of gives you an idea that, yes, it does change after. So you're going to wait until after you size it and decap it before you actually go ahead and check it. So
sounds like you're saying the brass can grow while you're resizing it, Mike.
Absolutely. It's sneaky like that.
I thought only children and trees grew.
And bullcrap in Washington. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. This ain't a political show.
It wasn't political. That was truth. Verifiable fact. All right. So, gang, it's 8:17. We're going to save the rest of what we do with brass for next week. So, because, it is by far and away the most extensive that you deal with. So we're going to cut it here. And maybe even next week, we might actually get into neck turning too. It all depends. I'm going to look into see about possibility of doing that. But we'll deal with the rest of the brass next week. But what you got to do, what you do after you decap it. So as for the rest of tonight, it's just a matter of go wrap up, looking at my ugly mug and everybody else's ugly mug, and then saying goodnight. So Daryl wants to know, how often should you clean your dies? Is there a set number of cases or time between cleanings? Nick says he does his every 1,000. Alan says straight. And Alan, talking about case prep, says straight walled cases are much easier to care for than bottleneck. Absolutely. Honestly, all my straight wall stuff, which is pistol only in my case because I don't have a 4570. So we're going to interrupt this for just a moment. I'm going to mute it, and you guys can talk for a second about kind of some of the basic differences between brass in straight wall and bottleneck quick, because my wife wants to pull in the garage, and she's being persistent. So
anyway, the reason for the straight wall case is generally not needing as much care and feeding as bottleneck cartridges do is because of the lower pressures. Because, remember with handgun ammo, we're dealing with 15 to 30,000, maybe 45,000. And Jason, yes, here we go. I know you're going to correct me. The 500 Magnum goes clear up to 50,000 CUP or PSI rather. But in rifle cartridges, sometimes they go clear up to 60,000 PSI. And brass can start to flow at that kind of pressure. I mean, I said 60,000 pounds per square inch. That's 30 tons of pressure on the inside of 1 square inch in your rifle chamber. So what I'm talking about, generally speaking, notice a caveat, Jason. Generally speaking, the handgun brass is usually.
Are we having snacks?
That's not caviar. That's caviar, not caveat. Anyway, So
I'm hilarious.
the point is, with handgun cartridges like 45 ACP, like 357 even, or 38 special, or
My wife.
9 millimeter, the handgun, the chamber pressures are much lower, 20,000, 30,000 psi, and the brass simply can't flow because there's not as much pressure. All right, back to you, Mike, if you're ready.
Yeah. So, and we'll kind of go a little more. So, JH586SW wants to know, I've heard there's no need to trim crystal brass. Any thoughts? I always at least check them. I can't remember the last time I checked a piece of pistol brass other than when I was teaching somebody, because mine never lasts long enough to grow long enough. Jim? Jason?
Yeah,
I generally don't even, I inspect it, but I generally don't measure it. I use stuff like how to look for splits because I happen to know that pistol brass simply doesn't grow. Now, Jason, what about that 500 Magnum? Do the cases grow in that?
Not that I've ever noticed.
Yeah, some people are abusive. Some people have to be punished. Some people have to have a handgun, kick them in the hands like a football, like a goal. What is it? Place kicker kicks a field goal.
Are you
Has to
talking
get kicked in the hand like that.
mule?
What are you saying, Jim? Just spit it out.
Recoil.
Isn't that a magazine?
Yeah, it is a good magazine.
Just go on Demolition Ranch, which I watch frequently. Go on Demolition Ranch, and Matt will actually teach you a little bit about every time he pulls out that damn 500 Magnum of his.
Yeah, he's a little wimpy too.
He's also got money.
Oh boy.
So, like I said, we'll go into a lot more next week. And I'm going to do a separate, I think we're going to do a separate production on straight wall, like pistol.
Good idea.
So, but I don't know if we're going to do that as part of the regular podcast or not. So, that might be just a separate YouTube series. But anyway, want to thank everybody that pops in and tunes in. So, Alan says straight wall cases don't stretch, or at least so slowly that they will fail before needing to be trimmed. I haven't measured a pistol case in decades.
How many decades, Alan?
Not as many as Jim.
Screw you both. Bite me, bite me, bite me.
Nah.
Anyway. Anyhow.
All right, folks. If you've got questions you want answered, send us email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Stop over to the Reloading Podcast Facebook page. If you want to hang out with the rest of us and have some fun, join the Reloading Podcast Facebook group. It's a family-friendly group, so keep that in mind. Make sure you read the rules. If you're looking for probably the single largest, I guess probably as far as Facebook goes anyway, the single largest place to go for knowledge would be the Reloading Room. It's one of the oldest and definitely, in my personal opinion, one of the best on Facebook. There are a few other ones that are pretty good too. So the nice thing is, just like the Reloading Podcast group, it's an no troll zone. There's no stupid questions in this hobby. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Ask what you don't know. So, because as I've said before, this hobby can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing and you do something stupid, like put a double charge of tight group in a 9mm case in a Glock.
I know somebody that did that. I know somebody who did that and blew up a Glock. You do. You both do too.
Yep. So, some of the powders, it's pretty easy to double charge and do other stupid stuff. So, always want to ask. Alan said it would be a good idea to measure straight wall rifle cases once in a while. Just to the nature of the beast, they don't really stretch like a bottleneck cartridge does, and some of that has to do with the dynamics of the cartridge or the brass. Some of it has to do with how it resizes also. So,
well, there's not as much chamber pressure in the 4570, generally speaking.
Right. John Atkinson says he likes to trim his 9mm brass so it's all the same length, so his finish rounds are all the same. Understandable. It all depends on what you're doing with it. I guess if you're shooting competition and you want a little more consistency, yeah. Most of my stuff I load as practice ammo, so I don't care. I wouldn't buy, but definitely there is reasons to trim. When you get consistency, you're theoretically going to get a more consistent boiler room, and so therefore theoretically you're going to generate more consistent pressures, therefore more consistent speed, and the bullet's going to come out in the same direction most of the time, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep. So. When I did shoot 357, I would shoot it at like 200 yards.
Yeah.
I would trim my brass. I made sure everything was the same as I could possibly get it.
Handguns can't carry bullets that far.
Oh, the hell they can't. And you know better.
Yes, I'm the guy that put video up about 800 yards, the 1,000-yard shots, or 800 yards with handguns.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
They've done it. Jerry Michalik, with all sorts of different handguns. He's popped balloons at 1,000 yards. And, oh, crikey. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was another trick shooter. I want to say Byron Ferguson, but for some reason I think that's the archer.
No, not Byron.
Bob
yes,
Munden.
Bob Munden, yes.
Byron's the archery guy. But Bob Munden took an 800-yard shot with a 2-inch barreled 38 stub nose. So, and Jerry's done that at 1,000 with I think a 2-inch snubby. He's also done it with all sorts of stuff. It can be done. It's just a matter of working in it. So, but 200 yards with the 357 is completely doable all day long and twice on Sundays. So,
next time I'll tell you a story about 357 and 200 yards. Go ahead. I know you're trying to get off the air.
Completely within the realm of possibility, and it's not an excessive distance shot. So, but as I was saying, you got questions. If you want them answered on the air, send us email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us a text or a voicemail at 608-467-0308. You can send us a message on Facebook through the podcast page or the Reloading Podcast group. If you have a question you need answered right away, pop it over to the Reloading Room and search for it. 7 years, 35 million members. No, I'm just kidding. Well over 30,000 members. Somebody's probably asked that question before. You don't need to be a member to read the answers. If you want to post, however, you do need to be a member. Make sure you read the rules. With that many members, the rules are strictly enforced. There isn't really any wiggle room. So, and rightly so, because like I said, it's a troll-free zone. Now, other ways you can help the podcast if you so desire. If you're shopping Brownells or Amazon, head over to firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast and hit up the Brownells or the Amazon links. Costs you a little extra time, but it does not cost you any extra money. Oh, and Jason Allen says 30 years.
Alan's just a punk, wet behind the ears kid then.
How long you been reloading, Jason?
Last time you asked me that, you came up with 6 years. But when I did the math, I'm actually at 10 years. I don't want to get political, but there was a certain somebody running for a certain position and guns started flying off the shelf. That's when I started.
Well, in my case, my first written record, my first reloaded cartridge, my first when I started creating records, was back in 1980.
Now,
I didn't know that.
Written records, are you talking cave wall drawings or?
I did open myself up.
You did.
Cheers, Jason. Well done.
Cheers.
It was about 1979 when I first reloaded my first cartridge.
He finally gave up.
That's the old Fireball story, but that's another time for another show.
Yeah, he finally gave up black powder at that time, Jason. Firearms.
Mike, we're going to get that E soon.
Yes, Tim, I know I'm number 1. Thank you. Or was that number 11? Anyway, so another way you can help out the podcast is through the exclusive group of Patreons that we have. It's an awesome group of people that have decided they want to spend money. And so it's helped buy different stuff around here. It's bought lots of equipment for trying to make the podcast better, which we're still improving all the time. It's bought a scale that we gave away. It bought the level, which we gave away, is now in the possession of the winner. It's bought a RCBS kit that's down there that I'll actually start breaking out next week because we'll change out the press color for next week. And it's bought a bunch of other stuff that is going to be coming up for giveaways, and eventually we're going to buy it 50, and we're going to put that away.
Going to buy a what?
Dylan 650.
You are on record of that live and in Technicolor.
Yep. We've got an awesome group that keeps growing. And now here's the bonus. Okay, gang. When I say give stuff away, see, in Reloading World, nobody gives you squat for free to try out. So we got to buy it when we want to try it out. And we want to show you. So, what we're doing with Patreon money is we're using it for the show. We don't take it and spend it ourselves on beer and crap. Everything that comes in goes into the show, whether that's equipment or stuff related for the technical end of it, or if it's equipment to test out and try out, or other related fees to the show. That's what we do with it. And when you give to the show in the $5 or $10 level, or the $20 patch of the month club level, or the $35 lead farmer level, which gets you a $25 gift card to Patriot Patch Company, you get entered in the drawing for the equipment. So you could be like Shane D and Troy S, who've won equipment already. Now, obviously, I know not everybody has money, and we are grateful, extremely grateful for every single one of the people that gives us money, because we know what it's like to not have that extra money and to decide whether you're going to buy stuff for your own hobby or be able to send some to us. So we are greatly, extremely appreciative of all of that. So, and we're grateful for all of the feedback we get on the podcast, both positive and negative. We want to hear if we're doing something that sucks. We want to hear if our audio quality sucks. We want to hear if you don't like something we're doing. So I was going to do a little more advanced stuff today when we were talking about brass, could try and kind of do for the new person and for the experience, but time constraints didn't work out like I planned. So we're going to do a little more of the experience stuff next week. But that's what we're going to try and do from here on out for this series, is to cover stuff for the new reloader and also do a little more advanced stuff to kind of help with the experienced reloaders. So experienced reloaders, we're calling on you and we're calling you out. Send us questions. We know what questions the basic reloaders usually have. We know what they need to know. But what we need you experienced loaders to step up and ask us questions, so we can answer those too. So we're calling you out. Send us an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a text, 608-467-0308, or call us and leave us a voicemail, or message us on Facebook. So we're calling you out. We want questions. And I've got a couple already, and we'll fit them in as we can. So, but I want more, because after we're done with this, we got to have a whole bunch more stuff to talk about. All right, gang. Thank everybody for tuning in. Sorry, it's another long one. We're trying to keep these into an hour now, but I just crammed so much stuff in, and we have so many shenanigans going on. So But that's part of the fun of this podcast is it's not just all boring drudgery. We're friends sitting around. It's like we're sitting around the corner bar talking about this stuff, except for we're doing it over the internet. And now we've got video to show stuff too. So we enjoy this. We do this because we love this. So that's why we're here. All right, gang. So I'm going to make Trevor go again first because he decided to bail on us again. So yeah, he's been working hard at the gunsmith. So he didn't get home till later, so he wouldn't have had time to make it. So but he did say brass prep does stock. He doesn't know we're saving some brass prep for next week. And I'm not telling him that. So, but you do need to keep that brass shiny.
Whether keep your powder dry.
And as that hoodlum from down in Arkansas tries to say most of the time, aim small, miss small. And as the old man from North Carolina says, squeeze, don't yank that trigger.
Thanks, folks. And a special thank you and shout out to everybody who joins us for the live chat. That's Tuesday nights on our YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Central. If you're not sure, check out the Reloading Podcast Facebook page or the Reloading Podcast group. I post the link in both there. So come hang out with us. All right. Thanks. Good night.